Hi guys, welcome back to another video. Today I'm gonna talk about, let me grab one here, these beautiful plants that if you live in the UK, I believe they probably are spiking right now. I have some Phalaenopsis, they are almost blooming, opening their first flowers, I mean the hybrids, not the polycylus. Since we had a very cool summer and I provided cool down in temperature to most of my hybrids, they already pushed their flower spikes, with a few exceptions only, but most of them are already like a very mature flower spike. If that's the case, I want to talk to you a little bit about care, how to care for your Phalaenopsis when you have flower spikes. We talk a lot about how to obtain new flower spikes or how to take care of the plant, but I've never addressed what I usually do when I have these things happening here. So today I will address it. I hope that's something interesting. If it is, stay here with me and let's see a few tips that I have that I learned along the way, and I hope you enjoy them. The first thing that's really important is for you to check the health of your orchid. If you have watched other tutorials about Phalaenopsis orchid, you probably know that's really important for you to be careful with its watering, avoiding watering from above. If you spill water among the leaves, dry it up. You need to fertilize your orchid. Keep an eye on the root system to check if it's green or if it's gray and needs some watering. Better you take care of your plant, you're gonna have a better bloom show. If you don't know, most of these orchids, when we buy them in supermarkets, flower shops, or even garden centers, they are pretty young plants, so they will probably grow a little bit while you look after them, and they will become mature and will probably push out more flowers as they age. So providing a good care is the best thing that you can do for your plant. But taking that out of the way, when we have new flower spikes sprouting in your new Phalaenopsis, some people don't know if they are flower spikes or if they are roots. If you don't know, you'll discover it pretty soon, because roots, they can become a little bit grayish and they are rounded on the root tip. And flower spikes, usually they have a different tip. You're gonna discover that they have a shape to it. Another tip is for you to count the leaves. So if you count 1, 2, or maybe 1, 2 down in between the nodes, you're gonna have a flower spike emerging. But how I look after them, and a few things that you should know. First of all, is when you notice that we start having a spike sprouting, it's for you to position your plant in the direction that you want this spike to grow towards. So for instance, during the day, this window is very bright, so my spike, they will tend to grow towards that window. If I have a growing light on top of my flower spike, the spike will tend to grow towards the light. So if you want to, for instance, like this Phalaenopsis, if I want these spikes to grow towards the same direction as the leaves, I have to place the brightest spot in front of the leaves, because the spike will always grow towards the light. Why that's important? Because if you want to stake the flower spike to have it, let's say like you find in flower shops or when you buy in the supermarket, they come staked. You can stake, you need to have a stick, and also you need to have some clips to stake the flower spike. So you insert the bamboo stick or some other stick that you have, and then you need to have that clip. But it's very good and important for you to do when the spike is still short, because it's more flexible, and when it's fully grown, it will become harder. And so if you want to have a flower spike that will grow up, you should stake it as soon as you notice that has like maybe 10 centimeters, 15 centimeters tall. You can start staking it and it will grow with your stick. Another thing that's important is, if you want to have that beautiful cascading of flowers with all of them growing only towards one direction, for you to have that cascading, it's very important that you have your plant facing only one direction of bright light. I don't do that. It's covered that I'm very disorganized to do it because my walls are white and I have the growing lights and I have the windows. So my Phalaenopsis got a little bit distracted because if you don't know, white will reflect all the light. So I have a very bright spot on towards the walls. I have a bright spot with the growing light, and sometimes, like here, I have a very bright spot in the window. But if you have time to do so, and if you want to have a beautiful cascading, you have to point the flower spikes towards only one direction of light. If you can do that, all the buds, they will start growing towards that same direction, and then when the flowers open, you have that beautiful cascading. As you can see here, I'm showing you an example. When you have multiple directions of light, you can have very distorted and maybe not so very good looking buds. That's a very good example that I have here. As I said, I'm not the most organized person. With that, I don't prioritize it. That's okay, but that's a very good tip. However, if you want your plants to just grow freely like I do, you can just let the flower spike hang, and then you have a beautiful display of cascading, hanging Phalaenopsis flowers. There is one disadvantage though. If you have massive Phalaenopsis, the big ones that produce massive flowers, sometimes if the pot's not heavy enough and you decide to leave the flower spike hanging, it may fall on the floor. So for these massive plants, maybe it's a good idea if you don't have a heavy pot, just take the flower spike, because otherwise it can break and we don't want a broken flower spike. My Schilleriana is pushing through a very tall flower spike, so I had to place it in a spot with space for it to grow up. But I have no idea what I'm gonna do. I may have to stake it in the future. Another thing that's really important is for you to take care of these sensitive flower spikes. If it's growing towards the light and it's really close to the light source, you have to remove it, because otherwise you can definitely burn the buds, and we don't want to lose the buds early. It's the same thing with extreme temperature. So if you have a place that is very warm or a place that is very cold, be careful, because you can have bud blasts. The buds might fall earlier than they should, and that's because the plant got stressed. It won't last as long as they would if the plant was healthy. So avoid burning the leaves, avoid again stressing with environmental conditions if you can. Remember to water your plant on time, especially when all the time, but especially when you have buds, because again, if they dehydrated too much, you can have bud blast and you may lose your buds. So I have examples of stressed Phalaenopsis that they were so stressed that they were pushing out one bud after another, and they were all blasting during summertime. That is very common, that can happen, so that's what I'm telling you. Especially if you want to see and enjoy the blooms for a long time, you need to take very good care of your plant. And to conclude all of my tips, keep fertilizing your plants. When we are pushing out a flower spike, that is the reproductive system of this plant. It's one of the ways that this plant is made or is ready to propagate its genes. So it puts lots of energy in growing these flowers. So we need to keep fertilizing our plants. Try to not to skip while pushing out all these beautiful buds. It will help your plant to function properly while offering the right conditions. And I believe if you do everything and you have spikes coming through like I do, you will have a beautiful show during winter or springtime. My Phalaenopsis will definitely bloom during winter time this year because, as I said, they push out spikes much earlier than last year. I'm not gonna complain because these flowers, they last for a long time. So I will probably have Phalaenopsis blooms for 3 to 4 months maybe. That's lovely. And that's everything that I want to talk to you today. If you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, leave a comment down below, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.